we talked today a lot about experiences, about people, and I thought, listening to the last presentation, so do you know already how to do that? How to achieve that experience? How to achieve customer experience? How to achieve employee experience? You know? Or don't have a feeling of that? I think that we are all aware from today's perspective that the experience is that word that is focusing throughout all of the organizations. I try today from my previous experience and to share some ideas and some best practices, how practically have an approach in achieving that customer experience and employee experience as well, because we all talk about that we need to be customer driven and so on and so forth, but always the hardest part is implementation. And we also usually talk about mindset, but but what to do with that information that we need, that we know that we need mindset, what we need to do. So I will share my thoughts. My name is Gediminas, but it could be hard to pronounce for you, so you can call me G. I usually introduce like that in the conferences that in the foreign countries when I speak about that. My main experience with digital was in biggest energy companies in Baltics. I was head of digitalization there. There was a big energy company, from power supply, from distribution networks, from shared service center to electricity supplier for B2B, B2C. So we tried various initiatives, we tried various tools, technologies in every sector, from predictive maintenance, drones, how we communicate, collaborate, RPA, data analytics, chatbots, e-commerce, e-channels, self-service portals, and so on and so forth. So when I left not only thousands of physical employees, but I left also more than 100 digital employees as well, because at the moment there are more than 100 FTE work being done by robots. And I joined the university, International School of Management and Economics. So this university is located in Vilnius in Lithuania. It's the best private university in the Baltics. And here I have a few roles. One of the roles is to help the university itself to disrupt the traditional university model. Today we are discussing about that the educational system should be changed from grounds up. So I'm more working on the university part and how we can change that. Also, I'm head of Digital Innovation Lab, so we're working with students and businesses and trying to help them create various digital spin-offs, ideas, because students don't have experience, they maybe have drive, they don't know the methodology behind how to work on that. So we're actually building physical space that the students could create various digital prototypes, try to experiment, pivot, and the same infrastructure suggest for as a service for the businesses. And because my mission is to help companies with digital strategies and change management, I also have in executive school, an executive MBA. In MBA program, I have digital transformation and business module, where I'm a lecturer and a module manager, meaning that I invite other lecturers as well. And this was, and I'm here for about 1.5 years. It was quite a ride for me personally, because at the beginning we discussed with one of the colleagues here who is sitting and who wrote a book, that you become an expert when you write a book, not before you decided that you want to write a book. And it was really, and I'm 30 years old. When I started, I was 20-ish. That, like before speaker said, it was very hard for me, and it's very stressful. Like how I could teach other executives that has a lot of years of experience some things in university and university level. But what I understood and what I'm understanding from this topic in particular, that age and that new perspective is an asset, not a liability, if I could say so. So yeah, so that's my main mission. I have my personal mission, and I have different hats on my head. But I try to work with the business and try to educate the managers from the business side. Because what we discussed so far today, the problem we have basically is in the C-level and middle managers, that they do not understand how digital transformation basically works. First, they don't understand what it is, what does that mean in our company, and they do not understand that there is different dynamics. You need different capabilities in the organization. So my main mission is to solve not consequence, but the source of the problem. We need to work with the C-level and middle managers, that they understand what is that digitalization from grounds up, and then they could strategize and create strategies that could benefit their companies. So talking about transformation, in my topic there is two main words: transformation and basically experience. We all know what's human. So today there were a lot of different definitions of that. But basically transformation in the vocabulary is the process of changing. And the key idea is here nothing new. We talked about today many times. It's not an infinite, finite state, right? It's a process of change. And in these times, we have different external factors like COVID, war, now energy crisis. In the future, we could have some food supply crisis, climate change, and so on and so forth. And there are a lot of buzzwords like digital transformation, sustainable transformation. Even now, digitally sustainable transformation. You could write your own transformation. What do you have it? And the key thing is not what you write in it. The key is that transformations will not be a finite process. It is a never-ending organizational change. And one part of what I want to highlight is that it's never-ending, what we are talking today about, but another that transformation basically talks about organization and talks about organizational change. Transformation, the word itself, doesn't have anything related with technologies, digital, or so on and so forth. So it's organizational change, and usually the companies more focus on technologies, and those parts relating the change management are not important as well. Now let's see what the word experience means. And in the same vocabulary, basically there's two meanings: getting knowledge and how it makes you feel. So experience is two things. And we will get to that a bit later. Now let's put us in those change agents' shoes. Like I think all of you right now, in some part, are those change agents working with digital initiatives. The problem is that the majority of them, there's various researches, reports, and various numbers, but it varies from 70 to 90% that those initiatives fail in terms of scope, time, budget, planned metrics, or so on and so forth. So we need to ask the question, why? There could be two approaches when we are there are two basic approaches when we are approaching digital transformation. One is that we can have focus on internal operations. We try to digitize them to paperless organization. We try then to, when we have the data, then we could automate that processes, RPA, intelligent process automation, process mining. You can put your project over here in that white bubble, it doesn't matter. But the factor here is that you're focusing on internally, right? Another focus is externally. We're focusing on the customer side, and we're talking about customer experience, that we want to digitize it, to let people shop, visit, go to and find us on the digital environment. And that's external factor. Usually if we're working just on these two axes, it's not digital transformation, it's digitalization. We firstly digitized some processes. Later on, we make use of that data, which is already digital, and it's more like digitalization project. The real digital transformation becomes here when we have quite agile core systems and processes. There are no ad hocs, and the repetitive tasks are automated. We generate a lot of data internally. We generate a lot of data externally from the customer. We're trying to understand what are the unmet needs from the customer's perspective. We have capabilities in place, not also analytics, but also with working with customers, product owners, designers. Maybe we're working in tribes or agile teams. So we have in place whole governance structure capabilities, and we working with the projects not in the waterfall principle but more in agile, right? So if we have that, then we are understanding, so what are those unmet needs from the customer perspective? And because we're agile in our processes, then we could try, maybe we can, from the data we see that maybe we can suggest some new services or new digital products and try to reshape our business model. Because these axes, this one and this are working on conventional business model, just exploiting the current business model. We're trying to minimize costs and increase basically income. But the business model doesn't change. Business model change here when we are doing both sides and then try to innovate and try to do new things. Companies are struggling in this part. We discussed previously in the table discussions about that. So what companies usually do, it's very hard to transform the conventional organization. That's why they make spin-offs, like new legal entities with a dedicated budget, new people, talents, and so on and so forth. Or they buy some startups. That's how dealing in general companies with digital transformation. Other projects are digitalization projects, but they also face some resistance to change that we are talking today. And what I wanted to highlight here is no matter what project we are in, we're dealing with humans. Here we're dealing with employees. Here we're dealing not only with them, we're dealing with customers, but as well with employees, because employees are faces or they create products or whatever they do, but they also are the humans that we are facing some challenges with that. And we come to that human experience perspective. So today we talked about total experience, that you need to see the holistic view of the whole customer journey from customer journey perspective, from awareness through every funnel stage, how they convert. And it talks also about that we need to take into place an employee as well. And the concept that I didn't saw today in the presentation when we talked about employees is called digital employee experience, or DEX. And it's quite an evolving concept, and more and more attention it got during the corona. there were memes about Corona, right? That the coronavirus was the best digitalization officer because the whole change was fast forwarded for 5 to 7 years. And when everybody started to work from home, and the whole interface was just digital, the physical place disappeared basically, and that's where digital employee experience started to become very important. And digital employee experience have few things inside. One is so what hardware our employees are using, what software tools we have, whether they are also easy and understandable for our employees. Do they know why they need to put entries like that or so on and so forth? What are their digital literacy, right? So those kind of things that we need holistically look from the employee's perspective. And those concepts that we developed in customer experience from the marketing teams, for example, to A/B testing, like look which messages, visuals, how convert better, how to optimize web or some software or some system to be more better user experience in general. So these concepts come to the employee side as well and say, okay, also let's see and let's treat employees the same as we treat customers. Because what problem do we have if we don't do that? It will be hard to attract new talent, and the same employees are creating products for the customers. And there's various surveys that say that if employee experience is high, then it's more likely that the customer experience will be high as well. And because we as employees facing and using technologies as customers from other softwares and from other providers, and if we are familiar with the experience using Facebook, Netflix, Spotify, whatever, so we want also the similar experience, not to work on the legacy systems inside the organization. So what's that X like? Yeah, we talked about the digital total experience. There's X where everybody. Yeah. So that's X basically is that we need to look from the desirability perspective, from what people really want, what makes them feel good, and to avoid that trap that it. Like Ford said, right? So if I would listen to my customers, they would like faster horses, right? But the unmet need was to move faster from point A to point B. We need to understand as business people what are the needs, then evaluate feasibility from the technological perspective, how we can do that, and whether it's viable from business perspective, whether we have business case for that. And in the recent years, the new circle occurred with the sustainability resiliency perspective regarding of the whole external factors. So that X basically is Industry 5.0, because Industry 5.0 is talking about humanizing Industry 4.0. Industry 4.0 was intended more on automation, robots, efficiency. But what everybody started to understand and see that, we have a problem because we're talking about just the technology part, and the majority of the companies, what we saw previously, are failing at that. So how to get that X? Because everybody talked about what to do, but not how. Yeah. So you need to start from here. We need to start from that desirability perspective, understanding our employees, understanding our customers, and understanding what are the unmet needs. Not what they are saying, but what they want to, what they mean by that, right? So how to do that? Yeah, because it's also not an easy task. And previously, a speaker said about double diamond principle. So the general methodology behind that, the double principle or the double diamond principle or whatever you want to call, is design thinking. Meaning that you think at every challenge like a designer, from designer's perspective. What that means? Meaning that you will need to start from empathize part. You need to talk with your employees, talk with your customers, introduce them into change that you want to do, and try to first understand what are the situation, what are the problems. Do not make conclusions in that part. Then, after you receive that info, you could define. So, as a business leader, business people understand. So, okay, what does that mean? What do they mean by saying that? After that, you can ideate. So, what we have possible solutions. Here comes the technology part. Here we're discussing about what possible technologies could be. We try to prototype it because it's just an assumption. We just made an assumption that this could work, but we are not sure. That's why we need to have a prototype in order that we could test it with the same target audience that we were talking previously. And after that, we can implement and launch at a bigger scale. What's the reality that we have now in organizations? I have an idea. Let's launch it, right? We have implement. I heard that RPA is very good. Let's launch it. I heard like that, I don't know, chatbots, BI tools, CRM, ERPs, whatever. You can put every IT project that you have. And basically is that I have an idea, but we don't have a foundation. So what problem you're solving, what business problem you're solving, or for whom, right? For customers, what are the perspective from their side? And the majority of companies, basically all of them, in the strategy says that we are customer driven, we are customer oriented. What does that mean? Usually, because I work with a lot of enterprises, they say that, well, when we make a change, we think about customer. We really do. We think what they would like or not. But when I ask whether you actually ask them, they say no. So that's the problem. So when I'm working with middle or managers or C-level, I put them into streets to talk with the real customers that they have, and they come back with their eyes open. Oh, so that's how they see us. That's how they perceive our service or whatever. And then from ground up, we can look from the customer or employee's perspective and work this whole cycle from the foundation, that we know who is the target audience, who will accept or not our change. And these two parts are those interfaces when we are talking with people. Because you can't never assume, it's written in the word, it will be as for you and me, right? So don't make an assumptions. You need to test those assumptions. Okay, and so how to do that? To summarizing a bit. So if we say that transformation is process of changing, right? So do you have a proper why in an organization with a general transformation strategy or with some digital initiative? Why we are doing this? We usually talk about what and how, but we don't have a story behind why. And people are quite basic. People are quite basic in general. We need to understand, like in previous speaker said, why the hell I need to put my ass off the sofa and get that glass of water or whatever. You are thirsty. Oh, okay, then I have a problem. I understand why I need to get up from the sofa. So we need the why. Why we need to do that in an organization. Is it because we face competition? If it is because we will not survive in 5 years if we're doing nothing. So we need a proper why. Another thing we talked about experience, it was two meanings, knowledge and feeling. You need to invest in your employees, not only in managers, but as well in employees as a general. They need to understand what the technology is capable of. And I'm not talking about the tool. Do your employees know how machine learning algorithms works on a basic level, or deep learning algorithms works? Or what is robotic process automation? How does that work? We need to invest invest a lot of efforts into employees and managers just in order that they would understand what the technologies are capable of. And after that, they could start creating the demand or the projects that they really understand, and we will eliminate that gap that we have now in the C-level, for example, versus the technology capabilities. And how to get that feeling? We need to co-create with the end user. Hackathons, workshops, sprints, whatever, there's various initiatives that could help co-create together with your employees and consumers. That's the way how you can do and change that mindset of the culture that we're talking today, how to change the mindset of the managers, and so on and so forth. So we need to co-create together with them. And this comes from not theory, but it comes from the practical approaches that myself and my team try to adopting in working with companies, and I'm adapting nowadays. So we talked about today a lot, digital transformation is not about the tools, it's about the mindset, right? So there were the hints how to achieve that mindset. So thank you, and let's stay connected on digital environment.